Hello everybody, I am Samuel15 the Dragon Tamer here today, and welcome to Pokemon TCG Online. And today we're going to be doing something a little different, and that's a deck profile of sorts on a deck that I showed yesterday. And the reason why I'm doing this is, like I said, I did not show you guys the actual deck profile yesterday because I just ran into a good game, and I decided to just share that with you guys. And I'm going to give you guys a proper look today at the deck I played yesterday. However, I did make some changes, and this is actually going to be the final list. And if I decide to go into a regionals day 2 with this, or play at a league challenge, this will be the list I'll be using most likely. May make one or two more changes at that point, but at this point I think this is the pretty standard version of this deck that I will be using. For those who do not know, Expanded is basically black and white forward. Every set in black and white and X-Fire are in fact legal. This is a deck that you guys may have seen in the past before, and that is Klinklang. Both this Klinklang and this Klinklang were at some point good and actually viable in competitive play. This card is still legal in the format, but not this Klinklang. It's not legal anymore. However, it is legal in the expanded format. It's a card that a lot of people have forgotten that it still exists in the format, at least in the expanded format anyway. People seem to forget about this card, and what this does is it's kind of like Hydreigon in Aromatisse, where you can move as often as you like during your turn before you attack. You may move a Steel Energy attached to one of your Pokemon to another, so it's like Fairy Transfer or Dark Trance or something like along those lines. We'll probably never use this attack. Gear Grind for 2 coins. This attack does 8 damage times the number of heads. Now, I think this deck is actually better than it was when it first came out. Well, this Plasma Clang deck. Plasma Clang allows you to prevent all damage done to your Steel-type Pokemon by attacks from the opponent's Pokemon EX. This deck was good while it was in the format, but it just kind of became mediocre after a while because Plasma Kyurem came out, and there's a bunch of good non-EX attackers came out around that time and just kind of made this deck not all that great. So I think this deck is actually better now than it was because it's gained several things. This deck pretty much always ran Kabalion and maybe Registeel to get some bench snipe. Those are the two cards that was pretty much standard. 3/2 line and 2 of each of these was pretty standard. I think maybe some people play 4, but that was when like Catcher was legal. People would just try to Catcher and get rid of them ASAP. Maybe you want to play 4, but there's not enough room in this deck, I guess, to play as much as you would like. The things that this deck gained up since this and the last several sets, one of the things that this deck gained, of course, was Via Seeker. Every deck gained this, and allows you to use your supporters again, so that effectively makes you allow you to run less supporters. So that's the thought behind there. We're on Tropical Beach here. The thing that it also gained Muscle Band, Via Seeker, Muscle Band are pretty much the stuff that every deck in that format pretty much plays at this point. The things that I believe this deck gained was Aegislash. It has Mighty Shield, which is a great ability. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from each of your opponent's Pokemon that has any special energy attached to it. And Slash Blast does 20 damage for each Steel Energy attached to this Pokemon. So at the end of the game, this card becomes really good because you can just come in and just swing your sword with Aegislash and you can, with like 6 energy and a Muscle Band, you one-shot things. Now, you're not always going to be able to get that. It's not hard to get. It's kind of hard to get that. But after a few turns of constantly attaching energy, you'll eventually probably be able to get that. That's one of the things that this deck gained. Another thing is Alexander's Trump card. This is a great thing so you can get back your rare candies, or one of your Plasma Steel, or one of your Klinklangs. It's great in general. But the number one thing I think this deck gain to make this deck viable and just good in general again is Steel Energy. And that's, I mean, Shield Energy. This card can only be attached to a Steel-type Pokemon. This card provides Steel Energy while this card is attached to a Steel Pokemon. Or Metal Pokemon, whatever you want to call them. This attack the attacks of your opponent's Pokemon do 10 less damage to the Steel Pokemon this card is attached to. If this card is attached to anything other than a Steel Pokemon, discard this card. So, yes, this energy does work with Klinklang. So you can effectively move this Steel Energy anywhere, and you get instant 10 less damage. And this is really good with Registeel because during your opponent's next turn, any damage done to this Pokemon by attacks is reduced by 20. So put one of these here, effectively you're just doing 30. Your opponents are doing 30 less damage. And since this does stack, you can do all the way up to 60. Now if you can get 60 Shield Energy on a Registeel, whoo! Yeah, that's fun. That is so much fun. You can also play Hard Charm in this deck, I guess, but yeah, that's fun. And now we'll actually look through at the cards and why I made decisions for the amount of stuff. So I do play a 3, 2, 2, the 3, 2, and 2 of each of the Klangs, and I play both the heavier versions that have 3 retreat costs because that way we can get pretty much everything in the deck with the exception of Cobalion that we only run a 1 of. And we can, yeah, Heavy Ball works for everything. Now, you could also play, I guess, an Ultra Ball and kind of work around that, but I think just running Heavy Ball is just so good. Just for them, and we just kind of hope to run our Cobalion. You can also play Heatran here, but I think Cobalion is better of the 2 options because you kind of want to have 2 of each because Registeel is good, so you can maybe get some snipe damage on the bench, or just hit for a nice 80. You can hit with also then you are hitting for 100, so that makes Registeel better. Cobalion is still good in this deck for the simple fact you can just get rid of just weird stuff like Safeguard Pokemon or hit Pyro, and you know the shield. If you get enough Shield Energy on a Cobalion, it's going to be hard for them to one-shot you. Like, say they have a Pyro in play, and they're hitting you for 110, and with weakness it's of course 220. Say you decide to put like 1, 2, 3 Shield Energy on here. They're effectively only hitting you for 80 with a Muscle Band, and that's if they just decide to discard energy. And they're only going to be hitting you for 160 with weakness, and you're still surviving. You could just use Max Potion. You could just use this Klinklang, move the energy off of it, and just heal it. Now, that's easier said than done because getting 3 Shield Energy onto a Cobalion is not going to be easy because this is a very slow deck. Odds are they're going to be able to use Pyro before you can actually use one of your attacks, or just like have enough Shield Energy on your Cobalion, generally even have it out. So yeah, that's not going to be the easiest thing in the world to do more often than not. So it's still a tough matchup. You still kind of lose to Pyro, but at least with Shield Energy and Cobalion, you have a somewhat of a fighting chance. That's the point there. Like I said, we have 2 Aegis/2 Registeel, just because they both have a high retreat cost, which is good for Heavy Ball, and they're both great attackers in this deck. Honestly, they really are. Because the one thing this deck kind of lacked was not having the ability to have a big attack at the end, not able to one-shot things. And with Aegis, you do have the potential to one-shot things, and you can even hit for Megas if you put enough Steel Energy on this thing. It's going to be tough to one-shot Megas, especially that pesky Mega Manectric, but you know, Max Potions are great, and Trump card can get you back your Max Potions, so that's great as well. The downside, but what prevents this deck, in my opinion, from being competitive is very, very simple. It's Seismitoad. It truly is. That's the number one thing that hurts this deck the most is Seismitoad. And Pyro. Seismitoad and Pyro really do hurt this deck from being too competitive. It sucks. Because Shield Energy is really good. If those two did not currently exist in the format, I think like this deck might actually be. A lot of people would realize, oh my god, this deck is good and expanded. But I don't think it's going to be too. This deck is going to be too competitive. It is very slow as well. So yeah, there's that. You can also play Jirachi in this deck, I guess, just so you can have an instant ability to grab a supporter. I don't think Jirachi was ever in this format along with this Klinklang, at least in standard. So yeah, that's that. Like I said, the thing that hurts this deck most, like I said, is Seismitoad. To get around Seismitoad, we do play 2 of the Clang and 2 Rare Candy, but even then, that's not always going to be enough. It truly is going to be tough to face against Seismitoad, but like we do have ways of getting around Seismitoad with Righteous Edge and Mighty Shield of Aegislash. And Shield Energy can prevent them doing too much damage. You can also play Steel Shelter in this deck. That's another thing this deck has gained. But honestly, Beach is better. It truly is. Maybe you could play 1 Steel Shelter in here, 2 Beach, but I just like the consistency of 3 Beach. But then it's ultimately your decision. You can also play Keldeo, take up the 3 switch for a Keldeo and 2 Float Stones, but then you would start having to like think about actually running Ultra Ball, and just I like the consistency that it has right now. Just 3 switch is good enough, I think. You're not always gonna. It's not like Bronzong Dialga or anything like that, where you need to constantly rush in retreat. No, you don't really need that too much. You don't really need to kill you too much, honestly. So, yeah, this is the deck. Like I said, I don't think this deck is ever going to be too competitive. I think this is a nice, fun deck. And I just want to give a shout out to Klinklang and let everyone know that Klinklang is still technically in the format. And you can still use some crazy stuff with it. Maybe you could play Bronzong in here as well. Maybe have a nice 1/1 line of it, just so you can get your Steel Energy back. Maybe you can just have a more Bronzong more Dialga focus and just do that instead. But I think like if you're gonna play Klinklang, at least if you're gonna play the Klinklangs, I think you should build a more of a kind of 2-shotting kind of thing, except for the end, because Aegislash can get some nice knockouts. But I think for the most part, you're just relying on just 2-shotting things, like back in the day. I mean, like how fairies for the fairy boxes run. With fairy boxes, you don't really try to 1-shot things. You just kind of try to wait until the end to get a nice big knockout. But I think here we're just focusing on more or less 2-shotting, and Steel Energy and Shield Energy gives a lot of flexibility. Makes this deck better and a lot better in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. And also I want to say the changes I made from today. Heatran obviously is not in here anymore. I played 2. I think I was playing 1 Aegislash and 1 Kamaling and 1 Registeel and another Heatran, but I decided to make this deck a little bit more consistent. Take out the Heatran for another Registeel, because Registeel is good in here. I decided to take out a Super Raw for I think a 4/3 Heavy Ball. I don't remember what I got. Actually, I don't remember what I got from that. I think I actually put in the 3rd Via Seeker. Search out my supporters better. Out of the discard. Just so, because I always find myself, when I play Trump card, wanting to have a few more Via Seeker. So I think if you're playing Trump card, you should obviously play another Via Seeker. But that's just my opinion. Another thing I changed is I only play 2 Shield Energy. After testing with a little bit, I decided for it. Shield Energy is so much better. And sure, Hand Hammer. Yeah, that sucks. But Ice Energy Trump card gets it back, so it makes it a little more willing, gives me more makes it so I'm more willing to play the 4 line, just 4 Shield Energy. And plus, just using Protect charge for like preventing them from doing like 30 or 40, maybe even 50 damage is just so good. You're rarely ever going to get four shield energy on this thing. You're normally going to only get 2 or 3 shield energy in play a game, but it's just really fun. This is kind of like a lock deck of sorts, so just blocking your opponent out of that. Like I said, you could put the Steel Shelter in here instead, or if you don't even own Tropical Beaches, you could just run the 3 Steel Shelter, or just 2 Shelter and like something like that. But if you honestly, if you're not running Tropical Beach, I think you should up the count to N of both N and Sycamore to 4, because we're able to only run 3 of each because of 3 VS Seeker and the 3 Tropical Beach. So if you decide to take decide to just not play Tropical Beach and just play Steel Shelter instead, you would want to take 1 spot from here and only play 2 Steel Shelter, and take a VS Seeker from here and play a 4-4 line. That's what I think you would do if you decided to go without the Tropical Beach route. But that's just my opinion. I just want to, like I said, I just want to give a shout out to this deck and just make sure everyone knows that Klinklang exists in the format still, and yada yada yada. I hope you guys liked today's video. Like I said, right about now should be the time where the deck that I played yesterday, not the deck that I played yesterday, but this deck that I played yesterday for the Expand Format Monday should be right around here somewhere around this time, or at least like the last 5 seconds or so. So yeah, please like, subscribe, and all that silly stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.